dividing line between this country's worst era and the multiracial democracy that we hope to be. And if we allow this human being to rewrite our Constitution, we are giving ourselves over to a tyrant. And I know nobody here is ready to do that. That's why we're here. Because no matter who your parents are, no matter what language you speak, no matter what status your family holds, you belong here. Your rights are enshrined in the Constitution.
Well, I mean, obviously this is one of the most consequential arguments in a Supreme Court case in a number of years. It is huge and paramount for the integrity of the 14th Amendment to our Constitution, which really is kind of the centerpiece of democratic promise in this country. The courtroom was packed and full, as we would expect. All of the seats for all of the members of the Supreme Court bar and all of the visitor galleries were full as well. Yes, President Trump did attend the argument, but it did not change the atmosphere in the room at all. In fact, I think it's an important lesson that there are some places that are bigger than personality.
Let's be very clear about what is happening in that Supreme Court. This is not abstract. This is not theoretical. This is about who gets to belong in this country and who the Trump administration is trying to erase.
We work with so many men and women across the state, across the nation, who are looking for an opportunity. And just as each one of us have been given an opportunity, it's not fair to hold them back from opportunity. So that's so important of being here today, speaking our voice, to strengthen numbers. I think that's huge for black people. It goes back and we're challenging your birth. Where were you born? Who's your ancestors? And to be quite honest, all of us have immigrants inside of our families, right? There's no such thing as a pure American, because we live in a time right now where fear has to stop. We have to be able to walk, talk, breathe, and do everything that we want to do. This is why we live, to uphold the Constitution and to uphold who we are.
And if we don't learn how to talk to each other and stop talking at each other, we all gonna suffer. It's just that simple. There is nobody that can operate with just one side. You need the right and the left side to work. And since the right and the left side of the government don't work, we the people are suffering. And we don't see that. They got us fighting each other like cats and dogs, but the rich is still getting richer.
3,800 niños detenidos y arrancados de sus hogares y escuelas.
Today we're here representing the voices that they have tried to silence, such as 31 people who lost their life in ICE custody last year, the 9 people killed by ICE so far this year, and the more than 3,800 children detained and torn from their home as
Hats off, and the kudos today go to Cecilia Wong, the attorney for the ACLU. I've seen a lot of Supreme Court arguments. I'm not sure I've seen one better than what she presented today. Mastery of the law, mastery of the facts, ease and comfort, poise, real conversation with the justices, not afraid of any question and not afraid to try and clarify things that may be on the judge's mind and that may seem difficult. I'm going to tell my students when I get back to Howard Law School today that if they want to know what a Supreme Court argument is supposed to look like, it's this. This is what it's supposed to look like.
30 years after ratification, this court held that the 14th Amendment embodies the English common law rule. Virtually everyone born on U.S. soil is subject to its jurisdiction and is a citizen.
I walked into the courtroom today not only with the support of all of you, and I felt your emanations, okay? Not only as one member of an incredible legal team, but also with all of our ancestors, right? Whether you're an indigenous American, whether you are descended from African Americans who were enslaved and free, whether you are the descendant of someone who came on the Mayflower or someone who arrived just before your birth, we all are Americans alike. And that is the principle that we stood up for together, all of us, in the Supreme Court of the United States today.
There are generations of immigrants here that have created the world that we live in today, from our agriculture to our working industries. to our skilled laborers, to our politicians. Everyone here in America is pursuing and building the American dream, and we all have the right to that. It shouldn't be a privilege, it should be a right.
If our birthright is being affected, imagine what else is being affected. You know, we were talking before, we're thinking that this is kind of the start of, honestly, a downfall or the start of something, you know, because how are you gonna challenge us being born here and try to take that away from us, you know what I'm saying?
Who knows what the outcome will be, because you can never predict with the Supreme Court. But from what I saw, I believe that the Barbara plaintiffs should win, and should win decisively. Who knows what the number, what the count will be, but the briefing and the argument in this case was really on their side. And of course, the words of the 14th Amendment are what they are. And the only way they can be changed is by another constitutional amendment, not by presidential fiat.
Because if we start deciding who belongs, we start undoing everything that America made possible. Until those three words, we the people, will no longer be an aspiration, but we the people will become the truth of the land. We the people, we the people, we the people.